everyone, my name is Jennifer Acevedo Barrios, and for today's presentation, I will be discussing math fact fluency, addition, and subtraction. Before we begin the presentation and go over the information, here is a table of contents with the information that will be covered today. Part 1, descriptions and connections to the course materials. The course readings collectively emphasize the importance of fostering deep conceptual understanding in mathematics through active engagement, productive struggle, and meaningful collaboration. It further highlights that learning is an active and complex process involving the creation of interconnected neural networks within the brain, rather than passive reception of information. Effective mathematics instruction requires clearly defined learning objectives, strategic planning, and ongoing assessments to guide student process. The readings advocate for providing students with opportunities to explore real-world, relevant scenarios that promote critical thinking and problem solving. Developing resilience through productive struggle is essential, but it's important to recognize that struggle becomes unproductive when frustration shifts towards disengagement. Ultimately, the material underscores the need to create an environment that values effort, persistence, and collaborative learning, fostering durable understanding and mastery of the mathematical concepts. Regarding addition and subtraction, the chapters underscore the importance of mastering foundational facts, utilizing visual tools, and progressing from simple to more complex strategies. They stress that instruction focuses more on meaningful strategy-based approaches rather than rote memorization, therefore enhancing understanding and flexibility. Additionally, the readings explore effective assessment practices for evaluating student understanding, automaticity, and strategic flexibility. Ultimately, the materials highlight the necessity of creating learning environments that value effort, strategic thinking, and continuous growth, thereby fostering durable understanding and mastery of mathematical concepts. Introduction to Math Fact Fluency, Core Principles and Philosophy. Math Fact Fluency is a foundational skill that enables students to recall basic arithmetic facts quickly and accurately, thereby freeing cognitive resources for more complex problem solving and conceptual understanding. As William and Kling 2019 emphasized, fluency in basic facts involves accuracy, efficiency, flexibility, and strategic understanding, not just speed or memorization. This highlights that fluency extends beyond rote memorization, involving understanding the relationships among facts through strategies such as doubles, making 10, and decomposition. Developing fluency requires consistent, engaging practice integrating into daily routines, utilizing visual models, fact families, and mental math strategies to foster flexibility and confidence. Ongoing assessment is also a vital component to monitor progress, inform instruction, and ensure all students achieve automaticity at their own pace. The overarching philosophy is to build a strong conceptual foundation while promoting strategies that support automatic recall, ultimately leading to greater mathematical proficiency and confidence. Standards for mathematical practice. The standards for mathematical practice define essential types of expertise that all students should develop. These practices guide effective teaching and promote deep understanding of mathematics, all of which include problem-solving perseverance, abstract and quantitative reasoning, constructing, critiquing arguments, modeling real-world situations, using tools strategically, communicating with precision, recognizing patterns and structures, and identifying regularities in reasoning. Teachers observe that some practices are strengths while others need growth, and priorities are vary based on students and content. Overall, continuous effort is essential to refine these skills and support student learning. Key strategy for developing basic fact fluency, an overview of the foundational principles outlined in Chapter 1. Emphasis strategy over memorization. 2. Focus on deriving facts from foundational knowledge. 3. Develop flexibility in thinking. 4. Use visual supports and manipulatives. A little bit more about each one. Going back to number 1, fluency develops in 3 phases: counting, deriving, and mastering. Teach students purposeful manipulation techniques rather than relying only on rote memorization. Strategies make facts more accessible and adaptable to new problems. Going to number 2, use known facts to infer others, such as 5 plus 7, knowing 5 plus 5 equals 10, then adding 2 more. Building a network of related facts to enhance understanding and flexibility. Going to number 3, encourage students to think about problems in multiple ways, decomposing numbers, making 10, using doubles. Promote mental flexibility to select the most effective strategy for each problem. And number 4, incorporate tools like 10 frames, number lines, and arrays to centralize strategies, visual supports that foster understanding of relationships and patterns. Continuing with the key strategy for developing basic fact fluency. And 5, engage students in talk and reflection. 6, incorporate games and activities. 7, foster substantial and enjoyable practices. 8, use formative assessments to guide instruction. 9, avoid emphasis on time drills. Going back to number 5, facilitate think aloud discussions where students explain their strategies. Reflection really helps solidify this understanding and encourage strategic variation. 6, Going back to the number 6, engaging games and promoting strategic thinking without the pressure of time. Examples of these were games cross wires, go fish, and concentration. One of the quotes that was found in the text: research shows that even students in kindergarten solve problems involving addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division if problems are set in a familiar context and tools are available to model what occurs in the story. Going to 7, design activities that are meaningful, stress-free, open-ended, and varied. Encourage exploration and number relationships and use multiple strategies. Making connections really greatly enhances learning and retention. In addition to subtraction facts, really form a terrain that is rich with potential connections. Going to 8, observe and listen to students' strategic reasonings of the whys and the hows. Tailor instruction to address specific needs, reinforcing foundational facts and strategies. And going back to 9, recognize that time tests only measure speed and accuracy, not strategic flexibility or understanding. Time tests do not accurately assess fluency. Focus on developing strategies that lead to automaticity over time. Connections to Chapter 1, the 5 fundamentals. The 5 fundamentals are: mastery, focus on fluency. 2, fluency develops in 3 phases. Fundamental number 3, foundational facts must precede derived facts. Fundamental number 4, time tests do not assess fluency. Fundamental 5, students need substantial and enjoyable practice. In Chapter 1, the authors underscore that developing true fluency and based with basic math facts is grounded in the 5 fundamental principles that guide effective teaching, assessing, and mastery. These principles really emphasize that fluency extends beyond mere speed or memorization, encompassing understanding, strategic thinking, and meaningful practice. As Williams and Kling state, selecting a strategy key to both efficiency and flexibility requires first understanding how and when each strategy is appropriate, and then analyzing a problem to select a viable strategy. Together, they provide a research-based foundation in fostering lasting confidence and flexibility in students in mathematical reasoning. Connections to Chapter 1, 5 fundamentals continued. The selection of an appropriate strategy is really essential, ensuring that efficiency and flexibility is really reinforced. This process really begins with a clear understanding of a specific circumstances under which each strategy is most effective. Then, it's followed through a thorough analysis of the problem to identify the most appropriate approach. There, with effective strategy selection, adaptation, and transferable, they are essential components of developing procedural fluency and overall mathematical proficiency. Connections to Chapter 2, addition and subtraction facts. In Chapter 2, the authors really emphasize the importance of developing a strong foundation in addition and subtraction facts to foster fluency and flexible number sense in young learners. It really highlights the significance of early experiences with concrete tools such as dot patterns, 5 frames, and 10 frames, which really help students visualize and decompose numbers in many ways. The chapter also advocates beginning with understanding basic facts involving 0, 1, and 2, and progressive through foundational sets such as doubles, near doubles, and combinations of 10 before really moving on to derived strategies, but also emphasizing the role of storytelling, quick looks, and engaging games such as Sleeping Bears and Race to 10, and providing really meaningful and context-rich practice that supports mental computation and conceptual understanding. One of the quotes that both authors William and Kling state is that learning progresses from simple to focused, more complex fact sets, with connections lasting more to subtraction strategies. Connections to Chapter 3, derived facts, strategies for addition and subtraction. In Chapter 3, the authors underscore the critical role of strategic reasoning in mastering addition and subtraction facts, emphasizing that rote memorization alone is insufficient for fostering true fluency, furthering highlighting the importance of establishing meaningful connections between facts through patterns recognition, visual representations, and contextual story problems, which significantly enhances retention and understanding. The chapter also advocates for explicit instruction of derived facts such as near doubles, making 10 and pretend A10, that enables students to develop efficient mental computation techniques and deepen their understanding of number sense. This really stresses the necessity of sequencing strategy instruction after students attain automaticity with foundational facts and advocates for incorporating engaging strategic games and activities to reinforce learning. Furthermore, the chapter cautions against common pitfalls, including inadequate mastery of basic facts, superficial presentation of strategies, and the insufficient of opportunities for strategic practice, all of which can impede long-term fluency. Ultimately, fostering strategic reasoning through thoughtful instruction and consistent practice is essential for developing mathematical proficiency. This proficiency then will support students on ongoing success in mathematics. one of the quotes that was used in the text, a drill-based approach is less effective because it really relies on memorization and isolation facts, but rather than meaningful connections. Emphasizing really process, focus, think aloud reasoning really helps students think about the math facts and thinking through the process. Researchers really emphasize that the importance of explicit strategy instruction is really important in early education, highlighting that developing fluency with basic facts is essential for future mathematics success. Connections to chapter 3 continued. Here are some couple of graphs and figures. So students who really think of subtraction as taking away, especially with facts where the two values are closer together, are not really using an effective strategy. A number line can help students contrast these two situations as illustrated in figure 3.12. Students can find that 14 minus 3 by counting back and take away and agree that in effect efficient, but when they find that 11 minus 9, they can also take away an approach that is not effective. Instead, they need to think about the difference between the numbers. Connections to Chapter 6, Assessing Foundational Facts. In Chapter 6, the authors integrate advanced strategies, overarching themes, thereby enhancing one's understanding of effective instructional and assessment practices. Throughout the readings, William and Kling really underscore the significance of assessing foundational facts, emphasizing that mastery and automaticity in these areas enable students to employ flexible and effective strategies for solving more complex problems. Moving beyond traditional timed assessments, the chapter really recommends utilizing observational methods, interviews, journal writing, strategy quizzes, and self-assessments as an alternative means of evaluating student understanding and automaticity. Furthermore, they also introduce specific tools designed to accurately measure students' accuracy and their automaticity, facilitating target instructional interventions. The text also highlights the importance of engaging activities and reflective practices that foster meaningful practice and promote fluency. Together, all of these themes and strategies deepen teachers' comprehension of effective assessment and instructional techniques, therefore supporting a more nuanced and responsive approach to student learning. And just here, a key to utilize assessment tools that makes assessment informative and manageable. And some of the connections to the 5 fundamentals from Chapter 6 are listed right here at the bottom. Connections to Chapter 7, Assessing Derived Fact Strategies and All Facts. In Chapter 7, the author really emphasizes that assessing math fact fluency should go beyond time tests, usually using multiple formative tools such as observation, interviews, journals, and strategy checklists to really evaluate students' automaticity, strategy use, and flexibility. The chapter really assumes that students have mastered the foundational facts and provides ideas and tools for assessing the development of the derived fact strategies, but also highlighting that the 3 phases of fluency development, counting, deriving, and mastery, stresses that effective assessment focuses on strategic understanding rather than speed alone. The chapter also advocates for ongoing diagnostic assessments that guide targeted instruction, encouraging students to demonstrate quick, strategic, and flexible fact recall. So summative tools like exit interviews and holistic rubrics provide an overall mastery insights. The overarching goal is to support deepened understanding and strategic flexibility to develop true fact fluency and not just not memorization under stress. So in the reading, William and Kling really emphasize that as you use the observation tools given in this chapter, you also have to keep in mind as an educator that initial recording should not focus on automaticity with all facts, but rather should be utilized to focus whether students are selecting an effective strategy to find and figure out the answers to the problems, and if a variety of strategies across problems are selected and not just focused on one. And just a couple of questions that you can use and consider as a teacher. Which sets of facts or strategies are we assessing? What components of the fluency are we addressing? And are we assessing automaticity or mastery? Connections to Chapter 7, Assessing Derived Fact Strategies and Facts Continued. In Figure 7.1, a detailed overview is provided with specific understandings that a teacher must assess. This combination offers a comprehensive framework to better inform instructional decisions, making the supports targeted intervention. Connections to Chapter 8, Families and Facts. In Chapter 8, the authors underscore the vital role of parental involvement in enhancing the child's academic achievement. Evidence presented really highlighted the clear positive correlation between the levels of parental engagement and student success, emphasizing the importance of active participation in learning process. The chapter also points out that many of the parents may not fully be aware of the alternative methods for acquiring factual knowledge, indicating that there's a need for increased awareness and guidance to support effective learning strategies. strategies. Additionally, the significance of numeracy is also emphasized in being equally essential as literacy, advocating for a balanced focus on both skills. A key strategy involves supporting parents in understanding and fostering basic fact fluency in an engaging, enjoyable manner, with particular attention to distinguishing between fluency, mastery, and automaticity. Clarifying these concepts enables parents to really better support their child's learning journeys. And as William Kling state, making the distinction between fluency and mastery automaticity is a crux for helping parents understand and support a basic fact fluency plan. Furthermore, the chapter highlights the importance of accurately communication and the need to dispel common myths to foster more informed and effective educational environment. Overall, these insights really deepen our understanding on how informed parental involvement combined with targeted strategies can really contribute to a child's academic development. And so, right over here in one of the quotes I was finding in the text, although fluency requires more time and more focus on strategy instruction, it is the beginning of being able to solve more complex problems effectively and flexibility through mathematics. My mathematical philosophy of teaching. I thought this was a very important component to include in this presentation. My philosophy of teaching mathematics is really grounded in the conviction that meaningful learning occurs through active engagement, exploration, authentic experiences. I've learned that students are active participants in their mathematical development, capable of constructing and understanding through tasks that promote productive struggle, therefore challenging learners to extend their thinking while receiving the necessary support to persevere. These experiences really cultivate critical thinking, resilience, and problem-solving skills, which are fundamental to mathematical mastery. As educators, our responsibilities include establishing clear learning objectives, designing strategic pathways for achievement, and implementing meaningful assessment criteria to monitor and support student progress. I really advocate for a setting where dialogue and shared exploration deepen conceptual understanding and make abstract ideas tangible. Furthermore, embedding learning within the real-world context really enhances engagement and demonstrates the relevance of mathematical concepts to students' everyday lives. Achieving mastery in mathematics requires time, effort, and perseverance. It is our responsibility as educators to facilitate this process by providing guidance, encouragement, and support. Recognizing that productive struggle can become unproductive when frustration leads to disengagement as well. I prioritize also creating a collaborative environment that contextualizes mathematical concepts in real life scenarios, fostering resilience, curiosity, and a growth mindset. Ultimately, my goal is to inspire students to view mathematics not only as a subject to be learned, but as a powerful dynamic tool for understanding the world, cultivating curiosity, and promoting lifelong learning. Part two of my presentation reflecting analysis of my teaching practice. In my current teaching environment, I'm really committed to fostering student engagement and promoting an inclusive classroom culture where teaching mathematics to children, I strive to create a supportive space where diverse learning styles are recognized and students feel valued. However, I also recognize that balancing individual students' needs with curriculum demands can be challenging, often limiting opportunities for personalized feedback and comprehensive assessment. Additionally, I have observed that some of my students do remain passive during discussions, highlighting the need for more interactive and participatory instructional strategies. Furthermore, it has been noted that some children also really experience math anxiety or struggle with foundational concepts in my classroom, emphasizing the importance of fostering positive attitude toward mathematics and differentiating instruction to meet varied skill levels. Reflecting on these experiences, I really see the importance of continuing to refine my instructional approaches and incorporating peer collaboration, formative assessments, just to create a more dynamic, supportive, inclusive learning environment. And as William and Kling suggests, results will help you as a teacher to select instructional next steps, quick looks, and games that can address any facts or strategies that need more explicit instruction. Moving on forward, my goal is to build a greater confidence among my students by supporting the development of their mathematical skills while also nurturing a love for learning. I intend to do this by becoming more responsive to their individual needs and fostering classroom climate where every child feels valued and motivated to succeed. Classroom practices, current strengths in my math fluency. In my kindergarten classroom, I really prioritize right now the use of story problems in real life context to make math facts meaningful and engaging for my young learners. Incorporating story problems and activities that represent numbers with dot patterns, five frames and 10 frames provides a really rich setting for instruction and practice for basic math facts. By using simple and relatable stories such as you have 3 apples and your friend gives you 2 more, helps really students connect abstract addition and subtraction concepts to their everyday experiences, and it really enhances their understanding visual and the way that they manipulate tools such as counters, unifix cubes, and pictures can really be employed, enabling my students to physically manipulate objects as they work through these problems. This hands-on approach really fosters a concrete understanding of number relationships and encourages active engagement. And so, like Williams and Kling state, the more students are asked to think at a higher level, the more they learn. So, as the teachers support students in translating story problems into visual representations to develop strategic problem solving skills, implement story problems grounded in students' everyday experiences, just to enhance the relevance and engagement. Integrate real life contexts, such as sharing snacks or counting objects, just to build a meaningful connection to addition and subtraction. Areas for growth, challenges, and opportunities, creating a supportive environment for productive struggle. I think that one of these is one area that I want to grow in, and I find it challenging because managing frustration and preventing disengagement during challenging tasks is really critical. I think that my connections to the course readings and materials, the concept of fostering resilience through productive struggle is central, and so recognizing when frustration shifts to disengagement really allows for timely support and know when to intervene, how to address. I think that scaffolding tasks by breaking them into manageable parts, celebrate effort, and provide positive feedback for my students, teach my students that struggle is a natural part of learning and model persistence. I also think that another challenge and an area where I can grow is recognize the setbacks of balancing challenge and engagement. So young learners often think and need concrete, accessible activities that build foundational skills without causing frustration and disengagement. I think that striking the right balance between challenge and support can be difficult. I think that making a connection back to the course readings and materials, the readings really emphasize that productive struggle and importance of designing tasks that promote effort and persistence without overwhelming students. And I think that productive struggle really becomes unproductive when frustration leads to disengagement. And I think this was like something really big that I took back from the video that we watched for one of the readings. And how to address this, incorporating developing appropriate open-ended tasks that allow for exploration of multiple strategies, encouraging students to take control of their learning while providing scaffold as needed. I think that another challenge is implementing ongoing formative assessments to guide individual learning. I think that regular assessments of young learners understanding strategic flexibility can be time consuming and very complex. I think that the materials really highlight the importance of formative assessment practices such as observation, interviews, and reflection to monitor progress and guide instruction. So I don't really need to take a lot of time to really assess my students, and it could be just an easy observation and go on from there. So I think that use of informal assessments such as like the quick observations, student reflections, and strategy checklists, this data can really be used to tailor my instruction, reinforce strategies, and challenge students appropriately. Implementing recommendation strategies for consistency and improvement. For one, I think that creating a supportive environment for productive struggle. And so a break task into manageable steps. I will design tasks that will be completed in achievable parts. Recognizing balancing challenge and engagement. And so I think that during lessons, I will share stories and demonstrate my own problem solving process, highlighting the importance of perseverance and resilience. Teach self regulation strategies, encourage students to use strategies like take deep breaths, ask for help, pause and think when they feel really frustrated, especially when I'm trying to create that supportive environment for my kids. And going back to like recognizing and balancing challenge and engagement, I think that design open ended, developing appropriate tasks, incorporate activities like manipulatives, puzzles, and story problems that allow multiple strategies and personal choice, tailor challenges based on individual students' needs, provide more support, and extending tasks for students who need it. Foster a classroom culture where mistakes are viewed as growth opportunities and effort is valued over speed and correctness. And of course, also allow my students to select activities or strategies where they are fostering ownership and motivation. And so implementing ongoing formative assessments to guide learning. And so regularly, I think I can do this use quick observation tools such as circulate during activities to observe student strategies and understanding. Note who is using effective strategies and who may need additional support. Conduct student reflections. Incorporate brief reflections where students explain their reasoning either verbally or through drawings. Engage their conceptual understanding. Develop strategy checklist. Like mentioned previously, adjust the instruction based on my data, use assessment insights to reteach and extend concepts, introduce new strategies, or provide target support during small groups. I think that the authors really in this text, Williams and Kling, really emphasize results will help you select instructional next steps, quick looks, and games that can address any facts or strategies that need more explicit instruction. And concrete actions for continuous improvement. I think that a weekly reflection is dedicating each time each week to reflect on what strategies are working, where students need resilience, and where they are struggling. Collaborate with other teachers and my colleagues, share observations and successful strategies with other teachers to develop a community of practice focused on formative assessment and productive struggle. I think that also it's important to allow parents to be engaged in their students' education, communicating with parents about the importance of effort and resilience simply by providing strategies that they can reinforce at home as well. Thank you so much. These are my references. Thank you.